And mind you, his car's right across the street, but peels out and flies down the road and crashes into a yard for no reason.
Does a sick 180 though.
Yeah, does a sick 180. Like, dude, if ever I told one of you to go, like, hey, will you go pull the car around? And I just hear you doing donuts in the middle of the road. I'd be like, dude, what is wrong with that guy? He's carrying the mirror next time.
That was funny in the theater because the three of us all just went.
Yeah, we're all like, why he's doing this?
Welcome in, everybody, to HTGS Reviews. I am your host, Rob Coakley, joined as always by Dave Wilkins.
Hello, Rob Coakley.
And Jesse Wilkins.
It's good to be here.
And today we are talking about the final Conjuring movie, The Conjuring Last Rites. We're a little late on this. That's fine. It was worth waiting for us to review it. No one else should have until we did. But we're going to talk about that. Before we do, Dave is going to give us his synopsising of this movie.
That's right. And just so you know, we're going to be spoiling this movie. So without further ado, The Conjuring 4, Last Rites, directed by Michael Chavez. In the fourth and final installment of the Conjuring franchise, the studio couldn't choose between telling the Smurl story or the Warren story, so they chose to do both poorly. In Last Rites, the Warrens bravely walk into yet another demonic mess while the Smurl family stands politely off-screen, waiting for their own story to be told. Rumor has it, they're still waiting. Instead of atmosphere or tension, the film vomits up jump scares so predictable you'd think the demons had to file paperwork before popping out. After briefly introducing us to the family that's supposed to be the film's subject, it pivots and beats the audience over the head with a subplot involving two characters that had nothing to do with anything. From there, it stumbles through every imaginable horror trope like it's checking boxes on a demonic possession checklist. It all collapses in on itself, stumbling into a ridiculous climax where logic evaporates entirely. By the end, the only thing that needed last rites was this franchise, and after sitting through it, so did I. I didn't like this.
Well, do you think you didn't like this? Your synopsis gave us your entire review. I don't even know if you have to talk the rest of this review. You just let us know your thoughts right away through there.
I didn't even almost let you know anywhere near my thoughts on this movie because I hated it. And I want to say I was disappointed, but I wasn't, because I even said to you guys as we were walking into the theater, I just knew this movie was going to suck because it had to suck because they got progressively worse. I wouldn't even say they got progressively worse. The first two were good. The third one wasn't good. And it wasn't good because the third one was doing too much. It got too big. And they weren't going to scale it back in this movie, and they definitely didn't. It got even stupider. So here we are with another dumb Conjuring movie.
Well, I think they objectively did get progressively worse. The first one was great. Second one was pretty good. Third one was not good. Fourth one might have been the worst of all of them.
Fair. I would push back on that, but we'll talk about it.
This one was the worst.
I'd say I don't agree with that.
This one was a mess, but I think it was better than the third one.
I don't think it was better. I think that if you compare the two movies side by side, I think what I will say is this one might have been scarier at times, but the third one was a better complete movie. Like, it wasn't like this one was like, it was paced terribly. It was just, there's so much wrong with this one. And at least this third one went beginning to end like a normal movie, right? It wasn't, this one was like all over the place with stupid, just dumb, rushed plot lines. And I have too much to say.
Okay. Before you do you have some opening thoughts, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm going to do my best during this movie to not compare it too much to the actual Smurl haunting, which if you want to hear the actual story of that, you can go back and listen to our episode. We covered it a few weeks ago on our Hometown Ghost Stories regular feed, so you can go listen to that or watch the episode. But the big problem that I have off the bat is that Tony Spera had absolutely nothing to do with the Smurl case, and neither did Judy Warren. So like they weren't involved at all in this. And for them to be not just shoehorned into the story, whatever, it's a part of the Warren's life. It's a part of the family. Tony seems like a cool guy. He's still around, and I don't know if Judy is or not, but either way, they had nothing to do with this case. So why are we making the whole movie about them? Is there going to be spinoffs with now Tony and Judy? Is that where they're going with this franchise? I mean, that's my number one problem with this movie is you made it a movie all about two people who had nothing to do with this case.
Yeah.
So they are doing they're trying to, it's in development, a Conjuring TV series, and we don't know what the specifics of that are. My thought would have been that they're going to do early cases of Ed and Lorraine Warren, but I didn't even think about that concept, Jesse, that they might spin this off to a Tony and Judy series. And
well, that's how it felt at the end. Number one, you get the setup through the whole movie of them making it all about them. Number two was at the end, he literally tossed the keys to Tony. It was like, welcome to the family or whatever. And basically that really left you feeling that if there's another type of movie or another spin-off, then it's going to be about them, in my opinion. Yeah. I'd prefer a prequel about the Warrens, but I mean, Tony's got enough paranormal experience where you probably could do a Tony series.
They could do a prequel with the Warrens because those two actors that they had playing the younger version of Ed and Lorraine, I thought actually looked like younger versions of Ed and Lorraine, or the actors, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. So they could do that. Yeah, I would prefer that because I don't know if Judy and Tony continued on doing what the Warrens did. They might have. I just don't know.
Well, Tony's definitely involved with the paranormal. I mean, like he was handling the actual handling of the Annabelle doll up until recently. So
yeah, I know he does that, but I just don't know if he continued doing what Ed and Lorraine were doing, or if it would be moving forward, if it would just be all, fictional things, which would be fine because it pretty much has been all fiction anyways.
True. I don't know. We shall see. But let's talk about this movie. There were problems.
I had major problems with this movie, and my main problem with it was the way they attempted to tell the story. And it started off covering the Smurl family, and they got a lot right about the Smurl family in the very beginning. They added some stuff, but we knew they were going to do that, so whatever. You get briefly introduced to this family, you just start meeting the characters, and then they completely move away from these characters and go right into Judy and Tony in this whole other direction that had nothing to do with the case. And they started building a whole different horror story around what's going on with these people. And then every once in a while, they cut back to the Smurl family, and you're like, who is that? Which kid is that? And you don't even know, and they cut away from it real quick. And it's like, what's going on with this haunting? And by the time they get to like the resolution of the haunting, you're like, I don't even know what's going on with this family. I don't feel like I know any of these Smurl characters. And it's supposed to be the entire point of the movie. They got it right with the first one. They got it right with the second one. And they got this part right with the third one too. Like I knew the characters and the story of the third movie. The third movie was a better movie for that reason.
Yeah, this one, they completely threw away the entire Smurl family haunting story almost immediately. But the first like 10 to 25% of this movie, I was like, this might be good. Like, this is pretty scary. Every time they went back to the Smurl house and was showing hauntings that were happening, it was tense and it was pretty good. And I was like, this could end up being a good movie. And then they just got away from it with a whole other story. And I don't know if they're caught up with the writing or if it was the directing or a little bit of both. There was some bad writing in this movie as well. But overall, it feels like they felt the need to make this all about the Warrens, because the Warrens have become superheroes of the paranormal, right? Where the only way this case is going to get solved in this franchise was that they are going to be, the only way this case is going to be solved is if the Warrens get involved and fix everything. And they went so far to make this all about the Warrens that they kicked off with this mirror subplot where the mirror is the bad guy, the demon's attached to this mirror. And it started with the Warrens experiencing the mirror. And then of course, towards the end of the movie, you realize mirror bad. and they're like, it's all about me. Oh, this makes sense. The mirror was waiting for us to show up. Like, come on.
So stupid. It was very disappointing. And I wasn't even mad that they introduced the mirror as like the catalyst for the haunting, because I knew they were going to move away from the original story. And I'm even fine with it. They did that with the original Conjuring movie, and the first Conjuring was great. But they moved away from it so fast, and then didn't fill in any of the blanks they left us with for this entire middle section of the movie, where we got this dumb love story between Tony and Judy. So it lost it towards the end. Not the end was a disaster for other reasons, but they did have a cool concept with the mirror. I kind of liked the idea going into it, but it was completely abandoned and then ruined at that point.
What they didn't do in this movie that they did in the first two movies, and I guess even the third movie, right, is even though they get away from what actually happened at the locations, they still brought in some of the scarier stuff that did happen. They may have reworked it a little bit, but the scene from the second movie where she's talking like Bill Wilkins, right? That happened in real life. And that was one of the scariest scenes in that entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
They did some of that stuff in the first Conjuring movie too.
Yep.
You thought you were getting that in the beginning of this. I thought they had some really good scares in the beginning with the Smurl family. You were setting this up really well. Like there were some really good scares. I thought the candle blowout thing with the VCR was really well done.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought that was a really good scene. But I think that's the most important point is like they set up the daughters, they set up the father, they're setting up the mother, and then they are just gone. You guys have already said this, but that was the most mind-blowing part of this. They just became extras in the movie. Like they're just standing there at the halfway point going forward. Like they don't talk ever. At one point, Judy says the name of one of the children. You're like, oh yeah, that is one of the kids' names. I forgot already.
Yeah,
because we've moved away from them so much, right? That you don't know what's going on. I don't even think they established a house well enough after that opening. Like the house in the Conjuring, the first Conjuring movie, and the second Conjuring movie was established well. You knew which each room was. You knew whose room was what. And I don't feel like you felt that other than the kitchen in this movie.
Yeah. In the house, like the set for the house was pretty good. So like they could have, like I believed it. It felt like, I know this took place in the 80s, but it felt like a 70s style house. And it was, yeah, it looked good. It was dark. It felt like the time. And they just like you said, they abandoned the plot that at least I cared about and went with something stupid, and just it went way over the top, like I knew it was going to. But
why does the 80s always feel gross? Any movie that's like in the 80s, everything just feels like it's like the grossest decade on camera. Like everything just looks terrible. Nothing looks great. And I have to state that I was born in this decade.
What about Stranger Things?
It looks gross. Everything looks gross in Stranger Things.
I don't know.
Everyone looks like their hair smells like cigarettes in Stranger Things.
That's like, historically accurate.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. Like I could smell the 80s whenever I watch an 80s movie. So
all right, let's try to pivot here and get to some of the positives about this movie, because we obviously have huge problems with the flow of this movie, the plot of this movie, some of the writing. I thought some of the jump scares were good, predictable, but you know they're coming anyways. I mean, it's going to happen. But there was a few moments that actually made me jump, which was great. One of them was when there was a ghost underneath the coffee table. The smiling woman didn't quite hit home with me. Like she was creepy at moments, but I don't know if she hung on camera for like a second too long in certain scenes.
Oh, it's funny that you say that. What my issue with the smiling woman was, it like flashed. Like it was like a flash jump, and it was just a flash of immediate too much ghost.
Yeah,
like, it was only on the screen for less than a second, and I was like, too much. Like that's not scary.
It's weird. So maybe it wasn't great, but the concept of a smiling, like grinning ghost is kind of creepy.
It could have been, but it wasn't executed. My issue with this, one of the, I know you're doing positives right now, but one of my main problems with this movie is all the ghosts sucked. None of them looked good. They all
Well, they
looked
weren't
stupid.
established,
They looked stupid.
but they also weren't established. Like we'll get
Yeah,
into the
I don't.
positives.
I
I'm
don't even
sorry.
think the guy with the axe hit home either.
No.
Like that was kind of like, you had a cool like residual haunt moment where one ghost killed another ghost with the axe, which I thought was actually a pretty cool moment because you didn't expect that. I didn't expect that to happen. I don't know if you guys did, but watching one of them get killed in the basement, which was one of the stories that they made up for the house or whatever.
No, they didn't make it up. That was so the when the Warrens came to the house in the actual story, Lorraine Warren said there's 3 spirits and a demon here. And the 3 spirits were one of a young girl, one of a husband and wife, and the husband was abusive to the wife. And it was found out that one of the former families that did live there, the husband had murdered the wife. I don't know if it was with an axe or not. So that was part of the actual story.
That was historically accurate, or was that
Yeah.
just what?
Well, historically accurate, at least according to the Warrens, in the real case.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so it applied to the real case. That's enough for me, But I thought
they
that was
weren't
a cool
established well. So that's what the first Conjuring movie, more than any of the others, even if a ghost was on screen for 10 seconds in the first Conjuring movie, they established the character so well, like the ghost, and made it creepy, and to the point that Dave's making it. It's somewhat character design, but these ghosts are throwaways. They're just complete throwaways, like, because they're not the main threat. They're not nothing. They're just vaguely set up. It's very much they're almost shoehorned into the movie just so that they can do a few more things.
Yeah,
That's the problem with them.
and then you had your succubus scene, but they kind of like, I understand why you don't want that scene in the movie, but they kind of played it a little bit safe where it's like, maybe that's happening, So like you had the moment where he started levitating in the bed, and then in the mirror, you see the ghost climbing on top of him, and you're like, because I know the story, I know what's happening. But to your average viewer, they're not going to have a clue. They just think the ghost is climbing up.
Yeah, that was a stupid scene. Wasn't scary.
That was a little scary.
I didn't think it was scary. I thought it was annoying. It was too much. Again, like he's like levitating in the air, and it was too much. Like you had a chance to really capture the fear and anxiety in a sleep paralysis situation. And I thought that they didn't do it well at all.
Okay. I had that in my positives, but that's okay. I'm really trying to get some positives out there.
I thought the scene where she's trying on the wedding dress,
that was cool.
It went a little too far at the end, but I thought the initial part of that, where your character is moving and you see the one in the back, and you have to be watching to see it. The one that's not moving.
Yeah, the one that's still standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really well done.
That was almost really well done, because I was right with you there too, including the part where you see the one figure still standing, because she's in basically like a circular room with a whole bunch of mirrors so you could see the wedding dress. When you're trying on a wedding dress, you can see it from all angles. So she, there's like a million women in wedding dresses. She leans down, and then one of the reflections is still standing, and then she stands back up. This could have been a really good scene, but it ended up not being a good scene because I think you got the stupid smiley face ghost again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucked. Blew it. It's like, God damn it. Like I
it was like
good.
under her dress nibbling on her ankle or something.
Yeah, it was so stupid. And
it should have been a different one that's not moving as she continues to look around, right? Like that should have been the scene.
Like psychological horror type scene there.
Something that Insidious got really well was all the time they would be following a character who's walking somewhere, and there would be something horrifying in like the peripheries. Like you just catch it. You'd be like, oh shit, was that supposed to be there? And it was really scary. And like, I kept thinking we were going to get that with this movie, and we kept not getting it with this movie, except for one time. And this is one of my positives, is when Janet Smurl was in the basement getting laundry, and there was vaguely like a shadow figure in the corner there. You could see the face a little bit. And, it was a good scene. It's my positives, but I was like, I was kind of disappointed when she saw it. I kind of was just hoping that it would just be in the background and she wouldn't notice it.
Yeah, I kind of like the light turning on, because she turns on the light and it ends up being a John Wayne poster, but it's clearly different. Like when she was in the shadows, you could see the forearm, you could see things that weren't in the poster. So while it was like her mind playing tricks on her at the same time, it's like, nah, that wasn't what you saw. You know, so
Yeah.
it was a cool scene. That was towards the beginning of the movie when the movie was still good.
And they didn't overdo that scene. That's what makes it good too, because for whatever reason, most of the other scenes, if that was almost any other scene in this movie, she would have turned the lights back off or something, and it would have just been like right in her face, screaming at her or something.
Right.
Yeah, there would have been a 14-minute kung fu scene.
Yeah. So I do think that was a good. I think that the first act of this movie is really is good. I think the first act is good. I think it starts to unravel in the second act, and then the third act is when the wheels just
Absolute disaster.
completely fall off. So I think there's redeemable stuff in this movie. I think the most important thing that this movie did is it brings you back to the haunted house, which is what makes the first two movies good and great. You're just not in this haunted house enough is the problem.
They're like, they introduced the haunted house. They're like, here it is. And they're like, oh, yay, we're back to the roots. And then it's like, by the way, we're going to Stupid Town for 45 minutes.
It was so chaotic, the end of this movie. Let's just hop into the ending because there's so many things wrong with the end of this movie. The Warrens show up and they're doing this whole so they showed up because Judy went there and they found out she was there. And this is after the priest scene. I guess we talk about the priest scene. I thought it was cool when the lady on the phone just disappeared. I was like, well, this didn't happen. But they kind of were hinting towards the phone thing. I thought it would have been creepier if they just did the phone thing. That's one of the most horrible parts. I mean, one of the most horrifying starts of the or I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. One of the most horrifying parts of the Smurl story was the phone thing. But again, I'm going to do my best not to compare this to the actual case and just say that overall, I thought that scene was pretty good until it wasn't. It dragged, and then the hanging thing was stupid. And what's up with that cord? I don't know. But when she disappeared, I was like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
So,
it's a weird plot device to move things in motion because it's just too much. You don't need that. Right? All you need is the father going there. He can't handle it himself, and he goes back to the Warrens and he's like, shit's going down. I need you guys. You have to come help me. If this is the last time, this is the last time, but I need help with this one. Right? Instead, we get this over elaborate plot device to get them to go to the Smurl house. And
then they get there and they once again just throw, like, the story just isn't about the family at all. So they get there and they're like, Judy, you got to get out of here. You know, like they basically, the Warrens were playing it off like they didn't want anything to do with it, but Judy really wanted to do with it. By the way, again, Judy had nothing to do with this and she wasn't there at all, but this is where they went with the movie. So whatever. And then just so stupid. Then they're like, all right, well, let's go check the attic. And, they go up to the attic and they see the mirror there. Was this before or after she got possessed? There's so much crap that happens in the end of this chaotic movie. I don't remember.
I don't remember whether that came before or after either, but yeah, she got possessed, which is stupid because nobody got possessed in the real. Whatever. You knew someone was going to get possessed in this movie, but it's just the Warrens
movie. Someone's going to get possessed, bro. Like,
yeah,
right.
happen.
But there's issues with the possession. There's way more issues with how the possession ended, which was what? When was she not possessed anymore? So she was possessed for a little while, then she goes up and strings herself up in the attic. And I think that's when they noticed that the mirror was there, like, oh, haunted mirror. Oh, we should save her first. And all of a sudden the floor is extremely unstable. It was not that unstable 2 minutes earlier, but whatever. So they cut her down in the most over dramatic scene with the little butterfly knife where he's trying to just slice this rope, and Tony, for whatever reason, like, doesn't go underneath to lift her up. He goes to the side because he's going to fall through the floor, which didn't, like, it wasn't that unstable earlier in the movie. They were walking around the attic pretty much with no problem earlier. Like, anyways, and then whatever, they get her down and then they're like, we got to get this mirror out of here. And forgive me if I have these things flipped here. I think the hang might happen later. Anyways, So you got Ed Warren, who in this movie at this point in time is like 1 second away from having a heart attack at all times. They made it very, 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 very clear throughout the entire movie that Ed has heart problems. So you have Ed there, and then you also have Jack Smurl, who's a bit older, and then you have young Tony Spira, perfectly healthy, strong, young buck, and they're like, we got to get this mirror out of here. Tony, go get the car ready. Why are you sending? This is on the writers. In that moment, Tony should have brought up like, hey, you're about to have a heart attack. I'm young and strong. Let me get this super heavy mirror out of here for you. Now, they could have made this make sense.
Mhm.
They could have, if they just wrote in a line, something along the lines of, no, there's a demonic entity and I need to handle this. You know, I need to be involved in the transportation of this mirror. Go get the car ready.
Yeah, funny if
By
they
the
did
way,
that. It'd be funny if they did that, and then Jack Smurl was like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
well, no, I'm saying that like, you know, Ed was, yeah, then yeah, Jack would have been like, well, why don't I go get the car? Right? Yeah, exactly. You're right. That went right over my head. But issue number 2 is the car that he was getting ready was Mustang. And that mirror was never going to fit in that car. You guys put that together? It was never going to fit in that fucking car. That mirror was huge. It's like 7 feet tall. Anyways, whatever. Maybe they would have thrown it on the roof or something. But Tony goes down to go get the car ready as these guys are just absolutely struggling upstairs with their old arms and heart attacks and stuff. And for no reason whatsoever, Tony finally gets the car running after, of course, it didn't turn over a few times. And mind you, his car's right across the street, but peels out and flies down the road and crashes into a yard for no reason.
Does a sick 180 though.
Yeah, it does a sick 180. Like, dude, if ever I told one of you to go, like, hey, will you go pull the car around? And I just hear you doing donuts in the middle of the road. I'd be like, dude, what is wrong with that guy? He's carrying the mirror next time.
That was funny in the theater because the three of us all just went.
Yeah, we're all like, why he's doing this? Anyway, so of course he sees smiling ghost lady in the road, in the middle of the road, and crashes. And I'll let one of you guys take it from here because I could rant about this ending all day long. But yeah, go ahead.
They wrapped the mirror in a blanket and then put 3 ratchet, like heavy duty, like trailer ratchet straps around this thing just to pick it up and have it all fall off. What's happening? And then, of course, they fall down the attic stairs with it, and Ed hurts himself. And then Ed has a heart attack, and he's dying on the stairs. So he fumbles for his pills, and that becomes a whole thing. And then he takes a pill, and he's fine. And he goes on with saving the day.
Yeah,
Yep.
Popeye did. You're also missing the part where the 2 teenage girls moved this mirror much easier than these 2 adult men.
I didn't even catch that
earlier in the movie.
They did make it a point to be like, wow, this thing is so heavy. But I'm assuming that the mirror was kind of fighting back because they do get in like a full-blown fist fight with this mirror later on. By the way, before that even happened, we have the random, we all saw it coming, but the absolutely unnecessary, corny, over-the-top injection of the Annabelle doll.
Oh, I was going to bring this up.
Why? We knew it was coming.
And it came in the stupidest possible way. I was like, I remember it was like a giant manifestation of her during the middle of the crescendo of this possession, and all of a sudden it's just like you start to see it manifest, and I'm like, don't be Annabelle, and of course it was fucking Annabelle.
Yeah,
I get the idea of it though.
No.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not allowed to say
even if Dave won't hear you out, I'll hear you out on this.
No, I'll hear you out. I'm just immediately disagreeing.
I don't like it, is what I will say. But what they're doing with it is it's manifesting as Judy's fear. Her biggest fear is clearly the Annabelle doll. We've established that throughout the franchise. Like, she's afraid of the Annabelle doll. That's what gives her the most like terrifying thing. So that it manifested as her fear.
Okay.
So that's why you got the Annabelle doll there.
Or
I'm not saying I like it.
Or because it's part of the franchise and maybe we're getting an Annabelle 3 movie or something like that. Who knows?
Oh,
but
you're definitely getting that.
Yeah, so that was dumb. And then, okay, so whatever. So Judy was running away from giant Annabelle, and she falls down the stairs, smashes her head, and then becomes she gets tuberculosis. And but she immediately, once she falls down the stairs, like Lorraine, I think, was there, and they're like, "Oh my god, what happened?" And she doesn't even mention it. She's not like, "I was just being chased by a giant Raggedy Ann doll," or what is in real life a Raggedy Ann doll. She's just like, "Oh, what's going on with the mirror?" Or something. Like it's just complete. Like I'm not going to talk about the most horrifying experience that's ever happened to any one of us, but I guess at this point in the movie, at this point in her life, she's used to seeing things like this or something like that. But it was, I felt like she brushed it off way too fast because she has some tuberculosis to tend to.
Yeah,
we did skip over the funniest line in the entire movie, which is at a funeral scene when they were talking about the father that died.
Oh yeah,
and they were like, "Where was he?" They were like, "He was in Pennsylvania. Only God knows what he was doing there." It's the next state over. It's not
that far away, and Pennsylvania is not that bad. We've had some good times in Pennsylvania.
It's not like he was in Australia, like, or the Congo or something.
Not that. It's a short drive.
He was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, that's when you ask that question. Lord knows what he was doing there.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania. That was dumb.
Yeah.
But what was also dumb was the way that this movie wrapped up. So then they get the mirror down and they start having a fist fight with the mirror, and there's some
he's not being hyperbolic, listeners. The end of this movie, Ed Warren fist fights a fucking mirror. And wins.
I don't know if he wins. I feel like he wasn't the winner. I think it was when Lorraine and Judy did the Care Bear stare to win this fight.
Oh, maybe. I think I had checked out by this point. Just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Just so much dumb stuff is happening at the end of this. So the mirror is fighting back as they're trying just to get it outside. I just want to like, okay, this wasn't what happened in the real case. We've established that, but I want to take a step back and look at this from the Smurls' perspective. The Warrens finally show up. You're like, great, cool. Daughter immediately gets possessed, tries to string herself up in the attic. They go up there. They find the mirror that, by the way, they never even addressed the fact that the mirror came back. They're like, oh, it is. It's fine.
Oh, dude, thank you. This was such a blown opportunity. Like, they set it up. You're like, oh, they threw the mirror away. It's going to come back. That's a trope.
Watch to get crushed.
Yeah, that's it. That's a horror trope, but whatever. And then they just,
never do the daughters say like, oh my God, we threw that away and watched the dump truck smash it to bits and pieces. I can't believe it's back. I guess there's more pressing matters like the giant Annabelle doll running around or the guy doing donuts in your fucking front.
Just whipping shitties outside.
Whipping shitties outside for no reason. Okay, so let's look at it from the Smurls' perspective. Okay, Warren showed up within minutes. Daughter gets possessed. Dad's, like the mirrors. Ed's upstairs fist fighting your fucking attic mirror, and then they absolutely tear the house apart while they're trying to get this mirror. Like worst movers ever. All they're trying to do is get this mirror down the hallway. They destroy every rung, every floorboard, blow up the upstairs of the house, blow out the windows like a C4 team that just set off dynamite or C4, I guess, inside the house.
And the other dude driving cars into your neighbor's house.
And not only that, and then you got Tony out there whipping shitties. He smashes through your fence. They have come in and within a couple of hours have destroyed the entire house, got possessed, fixed the possession by forgetting that she was possessed 4 minutes ago, and then they're just like, thank you. Came in,
solved it,
destroyed our house, destroyed our neighbor's fence, stole our mirror, and now you're leaving, and we're pretending this is a happy ending. Thank you, Warrens. They came in like Team America, destroyed the fucking place, didn't fix a thing, forgot to exorcise their daughter, who was just possessed. Yeah, there were some issues.
It all ended happily, though, of course.
Another negative. Cool.
Me and Dave both groaned at the same moment during the wedding scene.
So stupid.
Just bringing back characters from the first movie just so you could have that little moment, which was just like, oh, come on.
Oh
dude.
yeah, they brought back the mother from the first Conjuring. It's like, dude, oh, cool, dude. Why?
Yeah. Why are we doing this? Yeah,
Yeah, that was dumb. What a stupid fucking movie.
but I still liked it better than the third. That doesn't mean I liked
It
it.
was a better.
No, it
This
wasn't.
is
It
tough.
was
This is tough. So the third movie, the issue, and mind you, I believe in our review of the third movie, I like the third movie better than both of you. The issue with the third movie is there really wasn't very many scary moments. There were a few scary moments. It's just like they just fucked up with the writing of this movie. Just follow. You don't have to follow the story exactly. Do what you did in the first movie. Do what you did in the second movie. Focus on the story, but you can embellish it and make it scarier however you want to do with your Hollywood effects and everything. That's fine. But we don't care about this. And it's like, if you want to do that for a different movie, it's fine. Or if you want to establish that in the beginning of the movie and then pivot to the Smurl story and do that, it's fine. But it's like, I have so many issues with this. And the main issue is that neither of these people had anything to do with this case.
this story, I'm not even talking about the original story. I'm talking about the story that was this movie, was so poorly constructed and poorly told and so sloppy. At least the third one was a complete telling of a story. The story sucked, but they told the whole story, and they at least told it effectively so that it made sense in the final project. The final product was a movie that has a beginning, a middle, and an end with characters that were consistent throughout the whole movie. It was dumb and the ending was stupid and everything for all my reasons that I didn't like that third movie. But this was this movie, the fourth, was objectively worse than the third. It was a worse product.
Yeah. I'm just saying from like a horror standpoint, this movie had more scary moments and more tense moments than the third one. I
don't disagree with that, but
yeah, but I think I do agree with you that overall, as a movie on its face, I think the third one was probably a little bit better. But wow, did they drop the ball? And they dropped the ball. This one is more of a disappointment for two major reasons. Number one is that it could have been great. Every single scene inside the Smurl house, whether it was great or whether they missed the mark on the look of the ghosts or whatever, it was still tense. And you're like, oh shit, here we go again. And then, but 75% of the movie is that, that relief of like, whatever, we're in this romantic comedy about, Tony and Judy and everything's fine. That shouldn't be this. This should have been a horrifying movie. Stick to the story. Have the Warrens come in and do, a couple weeks there instead of 3 hours of destroying their house. Like it's just, you could have had a phenomenal movie. So that's the first reason that I'm disappointed with this. And the second reason is this is how you're choosing to end a phenomenal, or what was a phenomenal franchise, with two flops of movies, or back-to-back flops. First one, good, great. One of my favorite movies of horror, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Second one, really good, had its issues. Third one, bleh. Fourth one, complete mess. It was just a mess from start to finish.
Yeah. Do we want to get into some scores?
Yes.
I have this at a 1.8. I really didn't like it. It was, again, we're back to pacing being one of the major problems. This is one of those movies where I really just wanted it to end. And I was like, why wouldn't it end? And actually, for the first act, like Robbie said, the first act wasn't bad. The first act actually wasn't that bad, but I still wasn't enjoying it. And I'm trying to figure out, like, why am I not enjoying this movie? Like, I should be like into this, and I just wasn't. I couldn't figure out what am I in a bad mood or something? What is it? And I couldn't figure it out. I think it was the pacing.
You
in a bad mood? Never.
You.
But it was funny because like I was also hating all of the previews for upcoming horror movies because I'm sitting there like, that movie looks like shit. This movie looks like shit. And then I'm watching the actual movie that we came to watch. I'm like, this movie sucks. I'm like, I might be interested in a bad mood, but I wasn't. It was actually just a really bad movie.
See, my one disagreement is I thought the first act was fine. I thought that the stuff they were doing in the Smurl house was good. I enjoyed all that. So I thought the first act was okay. I'm at a 2.3. Because even though I think this movie is a mess and it made me put my hands on my head a few times and cringe and everything, I still at least had some fun with this movie. Like even there's parts that were so bad that I had fun with them being so bad at that moment that it's a little bit more rewatchable for me than the third one. And some of the scary stuff was pretty scary. Some of it went too long. Some of it they killed themselves. I think that's partially a bad director, like to be just completely honest. And so that's why I'm at a 2.3.
Yeah, as soon as we looked up who directed this movie and found out it was the same
Michael Chavez.
Yeah, as soon as we found out it was the same director as The Nun 2, we're like, but we'll try to get our hopes up. We'll try to go into it with an open mind.
He directed the third Conjuring also.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, listen to this. He did The Conjuring Last Rites. He did The Nun 2. He did The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Curse of La Llorona, which was garbage.
Yeah.
And that's it for his horror movies. Yeah. 0 for 4 for your horror movies, Michael Chavez. Hang it up.
Yeah, all in the Conjuring
on the show.
universe.
We'll say it's great. I really wanted to get this one in like the mid 3s, but it is remarkably not rewatchable. Like I am not looking forward to rewatching this movie. I would rewatch the third one. I would absolutely rewatch the first two. But I don't know if I really want to watch this movie again, and that kind of sucks because it was just too much side stuff, just not enough of the story. Just tell me the actual story. And the only reason that, and I know you kind of groaned when I said I would rewatch the third one, I would rewatch the third one because of what Dave was saying earlier, was like, yeah, it wasn't a great movie. No, it wasn't scary. Yes, we got Detective Lorraine Warren for some reason, but at least it stayed on track with a telling of one complete story without too much side bullshit. This movie was 75% side bullshit, and they did a really lazy job of tying it, back into the original story. I'm so disappointed with how much they blew a huge opportunity to have a phenomenal finish to the franchise, and it makes me sad. So I'm going 2-2 on this one, and it breaks my heart to give it that low because I really, really had high hopes. I'm like, you can do it, but they didn't do it.
They got the wrong guy. I'm so annoyed that they didn't go back to James Wan, because it would have been good with James Wan. James Wan wouldn't. I mean, he did allow it to happen because he was a producer on this one, but it was just so stupid. Well acted. The acting was good.
Pretty much good. There were some lines that were like, "Whoa, that should have been the line there." Like, it was a little bit corny at times.
Or poorly written.
It was written poorly written in some parts, for sure.
Yeah, so the acting was fine.
Acting was pretty much good across the board. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, we want to know what your score for The Conjuring Last Rites is. Please leave it in the YouTube comments, Spotify comments. You can leave it as an Apple review. Let us know what you thought of this movie. Until our next HTGS review, we will see you later. Peace.